Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto and Tenten started dating each other secretly and marries her, part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start a fanfic. On a bright day in the new town the group had founded, Naruto and Tenten had woken up from their room. Knowing that the two would complain if he didn't, Jiraiya set the two up to share the same room. They were overjoyed that he had complied with their request. Going to the shower, Tenten looked at Naruto with a big grin. Well, Naruto-kun, I am going to take a shower, she said, trying to point out an obvious fact. Not knowing what she was implying, he brushed the statement off. Okay Ten-chan, have a good soak, he said, oblivious to what she wanted. Knowing she would have to be more direct with him at times, she made a bigger effort to get him to see her point. Okay Naruto-kun, but I wonder who will scrub my back for me, she said. Him keeping he comment in his head, he finally realized what she had been implying. Turning quick to see her with a seductive look, Naruto quickly got up to his feet and followed her. He couldn't believe his brunette's way of thinking, but he wasn't complaining about it. I would be happy to help you with that, weapons girl, he said with his usual wide grin. She knew he wanted to come with her. Not wanting to keep him waiting in suspense for her answer, she faced the door with a finger in the air motioning him to follow her. Well then, what are you waiting for, Whisker boy, she said with a beautiful smile. He blushed heavily at the way she said it. He followed her into the shower. As they got in the shower, Jiraiya came in to check on the two lovers. He noticed that they weren't in bed, though they were somewhere else. Until he heard moaning come from the shower. He placed his ear to the door to hear what was happening. Koibito, faster faster, you feel so good, said the brunette with an unusual amount of pleasure in her voice. Jiraiya backed away from the door and accidentally bumped his head on the closet. He had a nosebleed and his trademark pervert smile. Ha 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 ha, that's the way Naruto, keep it up my student, Jiraiya said as he left the two in peace. As the two exited the shower, having their lovemaking finished, they decided to get dressed. As they put their clothes on, Tenten turned to Naruto. Naruto-kun, you are the best lover in my world, she said. He blushed at her comment as he had never been complimented like that. As they kept traveling, his feelings for her were more than 10 times that when they left. He could see she had gotten taller and was more thin and beautiful. Gazing at her, he decided to comment. As long as I am with you, I will pleasure you non-stop, he said with a confident smile. She blushed and chuckled at the comment. She knew he would take care of her. He had been doing so for about 5 months now. He had never let her down once. He never expected anything from her. Her love was all he really wanted to keep going. As they were fully dressed, they left their room and ran out the door to meet Jiraiya. He was standing wait for the two when he saw them run towards him. Him not being able to resist the urge to tease them spoke. Man, what took you so long? What were you two doing? He said, completely aware of what they were doing. Them blushing at the ground, not being able to look their sensei in the eye, started to speak. We overslept, right Ten-chan, he said to her with a nervous grin. Why yeah, that's right Naruto-kun, we overslept, hee, she said, covering the blush she was wearing. Jiraiya decided to let them off easy and forgot about it. He took them to a mellow field where they began their nature chakra training. Both were past any weights that Jiraiya used to seal on them. He insisted that they use a new type of seal that they were given. Eager to get them, Jiraiya used a few hand signs and activated gravity seals on them. The seals were to raise the amount of gravity on the human body to get better training that regular weights could. Over a week and the two could barely train with the weights on, but they soon got better and fought on equal terms as a couple of Junin Jiraiya set up for them. As they entered the field, Jiraiya turned to them. Okay, we shall begin your nature training, he said with enthusiasm. Both felt they were ready to handle the pressure of the training. Jiraiya turned to Naruto. Okay Naruto, you have wind and fire, he said. Naruto nodded as Jiraiya began his explanation. First, wind. Wind is about precision Naruto, it become as sharp as possible and able to cut through anything, he said. Naruto nodded showing he understood. Jiraiya took him to a waterfall and had him make 20 shadow clones at the waterfall. I want you to focus your chakra into the waterfall, make it split in two, and the clones will help increase the effort of the training. Naruto nodded and went to start his training. Jiraiya then turned to Tenten. Okay Tenten, you have water and lightning, he said. She nodded as he spoke. First, lightning. Lightning is also about precision, but it is also about speed. It comes from the chakra in your body's electrons. To use lighting is very difficult. Lighting is unpredictable and is pure energy, he explained. Tenten nodded a bit in nervousness over the explanation. Don't worry Tenten, you won't get shocked if you control the lighting is all, he said, giving her a sigh of relief. I want you to first learn to build up lighting in your hand, he said. She nodded, understanding the procedure from a few scrolls she read in Konoha. She tried to first get a feel for the electricity in her body. She could feel the little sparks of electricity in her body and she began. Holding out her hand, she tried to concentrate. Naruto was still busy trying to cut the water in half. He wasn't faring too well, but he knew he would get the hang of it. Both were training with little to no progress. They didn't think they would be able to get anything in the first day. Jiraiya noticed a storm was coming and motioned the two to come with him. They both ignored his call and still kept training despite the weather. Their souls had been connected to each other, like both were telling the other not to give up. As the storm increased in size, Jiraiya was still watching his students train. As lighting came down from the sky, Jiraiya started to get worried about Tenten. As he had expected, the lightning got attracted to her and came down to strike her. As the bolt hit Tenten, Naruto turned from the waterfall to see the girl completely unharmed, much to Jiraiya's surprise. To his being shocked more at what she had done. Tenten had taken the lightning she had been his with a compressed it with her chakra into her hand, making a new version of the Rasengan with lightning nature. Jiraiya and Naruto were surprised at Tenten's feat. She showed her sensei the ball of electricity. What now Jiraiya? She said. He looked at the ball in wonder, but broke himself out of the wonder. Hit that tree, I want to see something, he said. Coming up with a new name, she walked towards the tree. They wondered what she was thinking. Lightning style, thunder pulse, she said as the ball of pure energy hit the tree. There was a big flash of light as all three closed their eyes. As the light vanished, they all look in awe at what was shown. Tenten not only blew the tree away, but left a giant crater in the middle of the would-be forest. The fact that she hasn't even mastered it yet scares me, Jiraiya said. He knew that if she had mastered it, she would have made a far bigger crater than that. The storm still raging, Naruto looked at Tenten in wonder. Their connection is what strived them to do better. He turned back to the waterfall and focused more. Jiraiya stared and Naruto wondering what he was about to do. Naruto cut the training to try an attempt at a jutsu using wind. He didn't think it would work, but he just wanted to do something. As he made hand signs, Tenten and Jiraiya looked at him. Wind stlye, wind tunnel, he said, focusing at the water. After a few seconds, everyone looked at the sky to see a large tunnel of wind coming out of the sky. Naruto, deciding at the last minute to compress the wind and chakra more, did so. The wind began to spiral and Naruto jumped out of its way as it hit the waterfall. The high-pressure wind has caused everyone to close their eyes from the blast. As it calmed down, everyone opened their eyes. Jiraiya and Tenten had their jaws to the ground. They saw a giant hole in the middle of the water and a giant hole in the hill that was holding the waterfall to see clearly the exit of the tunnel to the destroyed trees behind the hill. Jiraiya was dumbfounded. He didn't know what to say. In all his years as a ninja, he had never seen such powerful jutsu by almost any ninja, let alone a genin. How much power do these two have, he thought. He realized they had caught on to the training pretty fast but still needed a bit of work. These two have the potential for strongest couple, he said with a rare look of seriousness. He thought it weird that these two with the strongest nature combinations were dating. He wondered if it was a coincidence. He let the thought go for a bit. All right, you both have done good, now let's head back, he motioned. They nodded and left. They are gonna get stronger. I just know it, he said. Their connection to each other might be what makes them better than the Sanin. As they head back, he took a back glance at the work they did. It still shocked him that they would be bigger if the two master their natures, and this was just the first ones that they had started. He wondered about the other two. Turning back, he put it off and they arrived at the inn. Them going to their room and him to his room. They all had a pleasant sleep. After 2 years, how much will these two grow? It was another hot day on their journey, as the group of ninja had been to many towns and countries. The blonde and brunette who were under the teachings of the Toad Sage had surpassed the regular limits of most genin and chunin. They had the potential for great things. Over the past 4 months, Naruto and Tenten had been perfecting their first natures. They had put in a considerable amount of effort to learn to harness their nature. Naruto could now form tornadoes of about any size, and Tenten could now cause a lightning dragon to appear in the skies. As they walked, Jiraiya was in more deep thought. These two are extraordinary. They have completely mastered their first natures, he said with a look of confusion and joy. He was proud that his students were getting the hang of their training. Realizing the time, Jiraiya stopped them in the middle of their walking. What is it, Aro Senin? Naruto said in confusion. Jiraiya knocked him upside the he for the nickname. Continuing for the conversation, he looked at the two. Okay, you two have completely mastered your first natures, now for the second, he said. They both jumped for joy as they knew he would be giving them a different kind of training. Okay, so what are we waiting for? The brunette said eagerly, wanting to try some water jutsu. Yeah, let's go, said Naruto as he ran off. Jiraiya decided to train them all day for today. He felt it was compensation for their moments alone so he could get research. Okay, let's get started, he said with a grin of confidence. He took them to another open field. It was about twice as big as the last one they went to. Okay, Naruto, your second nature is fire. Fire comes from your will and drive to get things done. It is normally concentrated in the center of the stomach, he said, explaining to Naruto the nature. As Naruto nodded, Jiraiya gave his next instruction. Okay, fire is shot out of the mouth or at times from the surrounding area. Naruto, I want you to learn the needed hand signs for fire jutsu, he said, handing Naruto a scroll with word on it. Naruto grumbled a little at the scroll. He hadn't liked to study, but he knew it couldn't be avoided. He ran to a secluded spot and started to read. Jiraiya then turned to face Tenten. Alright Tenten, your second nature is water. Water is focused by emotion. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the jutsu. However, water symbolizes calmness, so you must have a calm emotion to use the power effectively, he explained to her. She nodded that she understood. He gave her a scroll too and told her to go over the hand signs for water jutsu. She went next to Naruto and started to read. Jiraiya went off to the next town for supplies, leaving the two genin to their reading. After 4 hours of pure reading, both were starting to understand the process of using their second nature. Around the time they finished, Jiraiya returned to see that the two had put the scroll away and were running laps to warm up for their training. So you guys read the scrolls over, he said with a big grin, ready to start their training. Yeah, we are ready to start our nature training, Naruto stated as Jiraiya put the supplies on the ground. Okay, first Tenten, water is found everywhere, even in the ground. You are to learn to draw that water out of the ground and water the plants in the surrounding area, he stated to her. She nodded and sat down and looked at the pile of plants. She placed her hand on top of the pile to try to bring the water to the surface. As she was doing that, Jiraiya turned to Naruto. Now Naruto, I know you don't like heat, but to master this nature you must become accustomed to it, he said to the blonde as he made his instructions known. You are to focus the heat around you and let it envelop your body and try to bring it to the center of your stomach. As a result, your stomach will feel warmer and hot from containing the hot chakra, and it will then mold the chakra into fire for you to use, he explained to Naruto, who had nodded that he agreed, which was a good thing that he was more attentive. Standing a few feet from Tenten, Naruto began his training. Jiraiya chuckled at the sight. He noticed that the two couldn't be apart from each other even when training. Haha, that is youth for you, he said as he sat down under a tree in the shade watching his students. In 10 hours, night had claimed the sky. The two genin were getting the hang of doing the training. Tenten managed to make a small fountain of water appear over the plants. Naruto drawing in the heat around him and was able to bring it to the center of his stomach, but would stop because of the burning his stomach was feeling. Yeah, Naruto, the stomach has to get adjusted to the heat, he thought to himself. Having seen enough of what they could do, he was surprised to see that they didn't learn a giant jutsu like with their first natures. They all went back to get some rest from the training. As Naruto and Tenten went to their room, they had thought about what to do with their new training. Both puzzled over the issue before sleep had claimed them both. They laid in each other's arms that night. Morning came and they had gotten up earlier than Jiraiya. They went back into the fields to work on their nature training. They had gotten much better at the training. Tenten could now make a bigger fountain of water for the plants, and Naruto's stomach had gotten adjusted to the heat from the chakra. As Jiraiya woke up, he saw that his students weren't in their room. He knew then that they were training. Haha, Naruto, I can understand, but you, Tenten, now that is a shock. I guess this just proves you're his girlfriend, he said. He had arrived at the training area to see that they had been practicing hand signs to form their nature jutsus. He had seen Naruto make a fireball from his mouth and was impressed by it. He saw Tenten make a water dragon from the water she had pulled out from the earth. Clapping his hands, Jiraiya nodded at the two, impressed that they had come far. To his misunderstanding, they had explained to him. No, sensei, that was just a basic, we can do better ones, Naruto said, stunning the toad sage with his words. Feeling it was a joke, he laughed. Haha, yeah right kid, your jokes aren't funny, he said. Naruto grinned at his laughing, and after calling for his attention, he looked at the blonde whip out a few hand signs. Naruto stated his new jutsu. Fire style. Supreme Dragon Flame Bombs, he shouted. Fierce fire had come from his mouth. It torched a giant line of plants all the way to a nearby hill. Jiraiya had his mouth to the ground as he had tried to process what had happened. The jutsu Naruto did was an upper Junin level jutsu. He turned to face Tenten, who was smirking. Not denying his interest, she whipped out her handsings and said her new jutsu. Water style. Reverse Dragon Wave, she shouted. From the field came a giant water dragon that rammed itself into the field. It turned the burning field into a wet and damp one. Jiraiya was at a loss of words for these two. It took him months to learn just one nature, and here they were learning two each. He couldn't see the end to their potential. They looked at him and with a smirk said something interesting. Jiraiya-sensei, let us show you something else, she said, causing the sage to form a curious look. They smirked and replied. We will show you our love for each other through our nature, they said. He still wondered what they could be planning, though he had a good idea. Holding hands, they said their words with a new STLYE. Twin nature style. Ice Dragon Jutsu, they shouted. As they shouted, more water came from the ground and wind came from nowhere. The wind had frozen the water, but it still moved, forming a beautiful ice dragon that rammed into the field, leaving a giant hole, showing how far hard the ice dragon was. Jiraiya was astounded. They had been able to combine their nature to form another nature. They still weren't done. They were going to show him how much they trained behind his back. Holding hands again, they said their next jutsu. Twin nature style. Fireball Flash. As Naruto shot a fireball from his mouth, Tenten shot a lightning technique through the sky. The lightning hit the fireball, and because of the light, the ball seemed to disappear from view, then came back into view to explode at another hill adjacent to the other one. Next was their individual jutsus. Jiraiya couldn't even come close to comprehending the situation he was seeing. Tenten Steel first. Twin nature style. Instant water dragon jutsu, she shouted. The sky darkened, showing thunder clouds as the water clouds combined with the lightning. An electrified water dragon came roaring out of the clouds. She signaled he had down on the faraway target. The dragon obeyed and hit the ground in less than a second. After the attack was an extremely big crater, then the bottom could not be seen. Jiraiya was too awestruck to comprehend their growth. No student of his had progressed so much. Naruto stood next. He showed his hand signs. Twin nature saintly. Fierce fire spin, he shouted. In combination to his wind chakra, the fire chakra grew to an enormous height that seemed to break the sky in two. It was a more powerful and fire-elemented jutsu similar to the second Hokage's water wall jutsu. As the fire settled down, Jiraiya realized that these two didn't have the potential to be the greatest ninja. In 2 years they would be the greatest ninja. They had performed not only their own jutsu, but these jutsu were easily above Junin level jutsu. Why, you guys are incredible, he said. They blushed at his comment. It is because of my love for Ten-chan that it worked, Naruto said. It is because of my love for Naruto-kun that it worked, Tenten said. Their connection to each other was probably the strongest connection between a girl and boy. They had put so much trust in each other that even at times their breathing was the same. They could tell what the other was thinking without talking to each other. Not that they didn't enjoy talking to each other, but their connection was at a new high. Nothing could break this trust. They had trusted 100% of their lives to the other, knowing the other would not betray them. Naruto-kun, the brunette said. Yes, Ten-chan, he said to her. I love you so much, she said to him. Hearing the comment, he kissed her with an intense passion. They didn't care that their sensei was still there. They could only focus on each other as their kiss deepened. Their tongues had massaged each other and the exchange of fluids made the kiss more erotic. She to the point where she couldn't live without him and he couldn't live without her. As they parted for air, they went back to the hotel at the suggestion of Tenten. They had needed each other too much to ignore the feeling anymore. Jiraiya was awestruck still about the jutsu. He knew that in 2 years, not even the Sannin could beat them together. The 2 years will be an amazing change. 2 years later. It was a hot day in Konoha. Everyone was going about their business as usual. The marketing and shops were all open and people were happily living out their lives. A chunin wearing all pink had come down to the market to check on progress. Okay, everything seems to be in order here, the PNK Kunoichi said as she walked down the road. The chunin exams were held last year for the genin again. She and the rest of the 9 rookies made chunin, with the exception of the male Hyuga who made junin. Walking down remembering the past, Sakura had bumped into 2 of her friends who were on a casual walk. Hey Hinata, hey Neji, she shouted at them. It was a rarity to see the 2 Hyuga together. Neji had been much kinder to Hinata after his realization after the chunin exam with Naruto. Oh hello Sakura, how do you do? Said the 2 Hyugas. As she ran up towards them, they all were thinking about the different missions that they would be going on in a few weeks. They all had been requesting to be put on missions for so long that Tsunade's patience was wearing thin. As the 3 were chatting, they soon saw the rest of their teammates. Wow, everyone is here. Why is everyone here at this time? Sakura asked in confusion. Everyone was shocked to know that Sakura had forgotten what day it was. Everyone looked at her with a disappointed face. Wow Sakura, that is cold, said Lee. I can't believe you don't know what today is, Kiba said with a bark from his no longer small dog, Akamaru. Or even capable of compassion. Shino stated much to her dismay. This is why women's minds are so troublesome, the lazy genius stated. Even I remember what today is, the rival of the pink Kunoichi stated. Having a growing rage at the barrage of insults that kept coming at her, Sakura was nearing the end of her rope. She really didn't know what was so special about today. It seemed just like any other day. She had noticed that everyone had walked past her in disappointment. Running after them, she stopped them with an angry smile that everyone knew meant trouble. Will you just tell me what today is? She shouted, causing everyone to jump back in fright. Everyone was too scared to answer her. They knew she was a student of the fifth, and as such she had a very powerful left hook, though she wasn't leaf-handed. Snapping out of the fright that startled them, Shikamaru stepped forward to answer as everyone except Neji and Shino hid behind Shikamaru. Man, how troublesome. You really don't know what today is? He asked, still shocked she didn't. Almost losing all her patience, she mustered up a pretty but deadly smile. No, Shika. I don't know. Now tell me, she asked with a hint of demon in her voice. Shikamaru was still scared by her, but persevered as everyone took a giant step back, leaving him all alone. Sigh, that is a shame, Sakura. We are going to the front gate to meet Naruto and Tenten, he said. Sakura was at a loss for words. She couldn't believe she forgot the day they were coming back. Feeling depressed, she curled up into a corner and poked at some weeds. What is wrong with me? How could I forget that? Of all things, how could that be forgotten? She said with too much depression in her voice. Everyone came back to where Shikamaru was standing. He gave them all a questionable grin. Thank you for having my back, guys, he said with a groan. Feeling embarrassed over what happened, they apologized, only want to live long enough to see Naruto and Tenten. Sakura, still in her corner, was consoled by Hinata into getting up to go see them. They all got up and left. As they all walked, they noticed a number of the citizens of Konoha were coming too. Everyone had missed their blonde troublemaker and brunette weapons expert. After 14 minutes at the front gate, everyone saw 3 figures come into view. As the figures came into view, everyone began to get excited at the people who were coming. First was the Toad Sage, who was happy to be back in his village. He came up to the front gate. He had gathered everyone's attention. People, here come the two of the hour, Naruto and Tenten, he shouted so everyone could hear. As the couple came into view, everyone was shocked by what they saw. Their eyes were wide and their mouths dropped to the ground. They saw a more muscular Naruto in an orange and black jumpsuit carrying his lover bridal style to get a reaction from the crowd. Everyone was jumping for joy that the two could make an entrance like that. As Naruto set her down, she performed the next thing they practiced for their entrance. Tenten made a few hand signs and grabbed her lover. They were a good 32 feet from the crowd. Suddenly the sky darkened and thunder clouds appeared. The lighting had dropped down on the two lovers as they went into the sky and shot down right in front of the crowd. Everyone was shocked by the sight. They had come up to the crowd with wide smiles. Everyone, we are back, they shouted as the crowd cheered. Everyone had missed the couple that used to roam the streets. Naruto was now taller than Tenten, but Tenten got pretty tall too. As the most of the crowd dispersed, mostly because they only stopped to greet the returnees and had major work that needed to be done. Only the rookie 9 and a few Junin remained. Well, that was quite the entrance, you two, Kakashi spoke looking at his Ika book. You guys are so troublesome, said the lazy genius, though being impressed with the entrance. Awesome entrance, you guys, said Choji, Lee, and Kiba, all excited. Everyone was talking with many questions about the two. Most came from Ino, who had a rather interesting question to ask, again. So how far have you gone since you were away? She asked, causing everyone to get thrown back. You have seen them for 2 years and you had to ask that? Shikamaru said, groaning at the question. Kurenai looked at Ino. Now Ino, that is a private. We went all the way and I loved it, Tenten said, interrupting the Genjutsu Junin as everyone hit the ground. Www, what did you say? Asked a blushing Hinata, who then fainted from the images that had entered her mind. You can't be serious. Oh my goodness, wow, I didn't need to know that. That is youth for you, shouted the various comments that had come for the intensely blushed rookie genin ninja. Tenten continued to shock them. That's right, he was great, she said, sending more chills up their spines. Ah, no more images, they all protested. Knowing she shocked them enough, she did one last thing to them. And Naruto-kun is mine, so everyone is to back off him, she said, wrapping her hands around him and giving him a kiss on the cheek. Everyone totally lost in got a variety of nosebleeds. Even Neji couldn't keep his composure. Deciding the torment was enough, they both smirked and stopped to start a regular conversation. So how is everyone? Naruto asked. Everyone got up to answer, wiping their noses of the blood that came out. We are all good here, man, although Sakura was the one who forgot you guys were returning, Kiba announced. Feeling depressed, Sakura drew back into a corner, nudging at some weeds. I'm sorry, she said in a depressed tone. Seeing that the conversation would have to continue at a later time, Tsunade made her announcement. Okay, Evaon, these two need to come with us, she said. Everyone was a little depressed they had to go, but everyone would continue their talk later. Naruto and Tenten went with Tsunade back to the Hokage mansion. So did you guys get any stronger? She asked with a grin. Feeling insulted, they replied in unison. Of course we got stronger, we weren't playing around, they said. Feeling she set off a landmine, she tried to continue. I would like to test out this power of yours, show me how much you have improved, she said. Both feeling excited to have a match again, they quickly agreed. So who is the opponent? Tenten asked. That would be me, said the copy ninja. Wow, now that will be fun to do, Naruto said with enthusiasm. Kakashi stopped him before he got too hyper. We will do this in the evening, I want you to be prepared, he said as he ran off. Dismissing themselves, the couple left with Tenten in Naruto's arms. This left only Tsunade and Jiraiya in the room. So honestly tell me, Jiraiya, how strong are these two? She asked with a serious look. He looked at her with a grin as he headed for the door. You will have to see this evening, he said, making her groan in disappointment. He turned to her before leaving. Though I will say, you should probably appoint them to Junin after this, he said with a grin as he left. Tsunade puzzled over his words, not understanding what he meant. As she looked at the mountain of paperwork she had, she could only smile. This evening will be most interesting, she said as she turned to her paperwork. The match with Kakashi is sure to draw a good amount of attention from the Leafs Ninja and the Rookie 9. Reaching late evening in Konoha, the blonde and brunette couple strolled down the Konoha road, seeing familiar shops and store owners who had been waving to the couple. Blushing the attention, they turned to other places that they missed. Naruto took Tenten near the fancy restaurant that they had gone to on their first date. You remember this place, Ten-chan, he said with a smile as he faced her. She turned to him, remembering their first date that had turned into a true relationship for them both. How could I forget our first date, she said to her blonde lover. Yeah, you love the food here, he said. He knew that he could never do better than her. She was his foundation in times of doubt or trouble. He just couldn't live without her. She turned to him, staring at the eyes that seemed to draw her in, similar to her first experience with the Sharingan. Naruto's eyes were so powerful to her. His eyes were one of her weak points. Tenten felt that if she had looked into those eyes, nothing would get past him. She never kept secrets from Naruto. She trusted him with all her love and heart. She didn't even trust her own squad this much. As she gazed at him, he turned to her to ask her a question that shook her out here days. Tenten, you know I love you, right? I can't bear to stay away from you, he said with a look that suggested he was trying to make point. She stared at him in utter shock. Of course she loved him and she knew he loved her. For him to ask was a surprising thing. She started to reply to his statement as he gave her a serious look. Of course I know you love me, and I love you completely, Naruto-kun, she said with a concerned look on her face. Much to her surprise, his serious look turned into a happy one as he got down on one knee. She thought he was insane to do this. He wasn't gonna back out of what he was gonna say to her. Ten-chan, I love you so much, I want you to come live with me, he said as he stared at her. She had never been offered such a statement. She knew she loved him too much. She loved him so much that it pained her to be away from him. She knew he felt the same way about her. As she thought over what they were getting into, she couldn't help but smile with a few tears in her eyes. Naruto-kun, I would love to live with you, she stated to him. He jumped for joy that she had accepted his arrangement. As he picked her up bridal style, much to the shock of the smiling villagers, he ran off to her house. Well, we have 3 hours before we have to fight Kakashi. Let's get you settled in weapons, girl, he said as he ran. She could only blush. Every time she was in his arms, she felt that she was being protected by a god. She could feel all the warmth in his body. A warmth that had been directed at her. Being the most powerful couple in Konoha felt good for them, though that was a secret until the fight. As he arrived at her house, he left her down. Just give me a minute, Whisker Boy, she said as her disappeared behind the door. After 15 minutes in her house, she came out with a giant scroll. Naruto wondered where her stuff was until it hit him. She had sealed the stuff into the scroll. He picked up her scroll and turned to her. Well, we have 2 hours to settle all of your stuff, he said. They took to the rooftops and ran to their new house. She opened the door to see the still clean room had been refurbished by some of the ninjas while they were gone. The place looked 3 times as big as when they left, which was good, considering they would be living together. Really, what concerned Naruto about the move into his house was the space, but that wasn't an issue anymore. Unsealing her stuff on the floor, Tenten turned to Naruto, who made 3 clones to help with the moving. Sharing the same room, Naruto put all his clothes to one side and Tenten's clothes to the other side. As they put everything to the necessary spaces, the room was looking more like a woman-man living arrangement. Even though they weren't married, they both felt it was close enough until they were sure about it. After cleaning, Naruto looked at the time. Their showdown would start in 35 minutes. It was dark, so each ninja had a good element for surprise. Before they ran out the door, Naruto stopped Tenten and faced her. She wondered if she forgot something. He put his right hand on top of her left as he left. She stared at what he had given her. It was a copy key to the house that he had. She was now officially moved into her lover's house. Thank you, Naruto-kun, she said in her thoughts as they left to face their sensei at the training grounds. 24 minutes later, they arrived at the training ground to see Kakashi there before them. Naruto was shocked, because he was always super late whenever it came to anything. Wow, you're early for once, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said, a little happy. Kakashi laughed a little, knowing why Naruto had said that. Even I can take things seriously, he said, putting away his Ika book. The 3 noticed that a significant number of ninja had come to watch. Everyone was excited to see how much the 2 had grown, not knowing that Kakashi was totally outclassed. As Jiraiya and Tsunade came, they got started. Jiraiya shouted to Kakashi. Don't underestimate them, Kakashi, you will get hurt if you do, he shouted. Kakashi took it as a joke. He had known that they had gotten stronger, but to challenge him was nearly impossible, much to his misunderstanding. As Jiraiya laid back, Tsunade talked. Only on to the match, Kakashi versus Naruto and Tenten, match begin, she shouted as she left. They stared at each other for a good minute. Naruto began the fight. He threw a shuriken at Kakashi. He easily blocked it into the air to notice Tenten threw a kunai at him. As he sent the kunai into the air, he felt like pitying them for the poor display they had given, but as he came down he felt something scratch his left arm. It was the shuriken that Naruto had thrown. Tenten threw the kunai at Kakashi, knowing he would send it to the hit Naruto's shuriken, and sent it back down, hitting Kakashi. Man, that surprised me, he thought. He could see that they had improved their teamwork, but wasn't sure what made Jiraiya say what he said. As Naruto lunged at Kakashi, they exchanged a barrage of blows, countering the other over and over. As they ended the barrage, Naruto had been sweating and Kakashi was forced to awaken his Sharingan. Tenten came up on Kakashi to continue to blows that Naruto had finished. She was countered too by Kakashi. She hit the ground too, breathing hard. Kakashi seemed sorely disappointed. He expected more from 2 years of training. Tsunade turned to Jiraiya. Make these two Junin, are you kidding Jiraiya? She asked as she was close to laughing. She only stopped to see Jiraiya was the same smile he was wearing when the show started. Come on guys, are you done already? Kakashi said, nodding his head down. He didn't understand, but his words would be his biggest mistake. As Naruto came from the ground, he picked up Tenten. You tired, Ten-chan? He asked with a grin. Please Naruto-kun, I can't believe Kakashi is this slow, she said with a bigger grin. They then started to remove their physical weights off their bodies. As the weights hit the ground, they made a very loud bang, showing a good-sized crater. Kakashi then knew they weren't fighting him seriously. The fight began again. Kakashi with his Sharingan was ready. As it started, the two disappeared. Kakashi was shocked at what he saw. His Sharingan had seen them, but it was more of a blur than the actual image itself. They had then delivered a good amount of blows to Kakashi, who substituted the last punch with a log. He hid well in the bushes, but to no avail could he lose them. They turned around instantly to where he had gone. Their eyesight was almost as good as the Sharingan. Kakashi jumped for the shrubs to see a flaming kunai head for him. As he stood on the water, he whipped out a few hand signs. Water St. Lyle, Water Dragon Jutsu, he said as a giant water dragon came from the water to hit the two. He thought he would connect, but their speed was too fast for the dragon to hit. The dragon hit the ground, it had missed them by a good few feet. The crowd was in awe, even most of the ninja were too. The rookie nine couldn't believe what they were seeing. Naruto and Tenten had perfect sync with each other. They moved better than any team of Junin. This is amazing, said Kiba. They are so youthful, said Lee. Even I can't find a way to beat those two, Shikamaru said with full attention on the fight. For once he wasn't the least bit tired. How much have you two grown? Sakura and Neji said in their thoughts. As the fight continued, Kakashi was unleashing more jutsu in his arsenal, but none would connect to the targets. His last technique he used. He pushed all his chakra to his hand. Lightning blade, he shouted as he charged toward the brunette. As it passed her, it grazed her arm before passing her. As she put her hand over her wound, Kakashi said to her, "You still have a lot to learn, little weapons girl," Kakashi mocked. Not feeling great that Kakashi had mocked his lover, Naruto turned to Jiraiya. Jiraiya, is it okay if I have a little fun? He asked. Nodding his agreement, the Toad Sage gave his reply. Sure. Don't hold back, kid, he said. Naruto, feeling happy he could let loose, formed his hand signs. Kakashi expected a new clone technique, but was in for the ride of his life. Wind style, air bullets, Naruto shouted as 5 air bullets came from his mouth. One hit Kakashi as he bounced back to notice Naruto had wind chakra. Thinking he knew Naruto's weak point, he started another jutsu. This would be a grave mistake. Fire style, dragon flame bombs, Kakashi shouted as the flames headed towards Naruto. Naruto decided to give everyone the shock of their lives. Tenten on the ground smiled at what he was about to use. Fire style, supreme dragon flame bombs, he shouted, unleashing a bigger jutsu than Kakashi. The crowd was dumbfounded at what they saw. They saw a wind user using fire chakra. Tsunade was surprised too, knowing this happened. The rookie nine couldn't hold back the question that had formed into their heads. As the two jutsus collided, they were pushing each other back for supremacy. Tenten got up and walked to Naruto. She waved her hand signs and said her jutsu. Lightning style, God's thunder axe, she shouted. The sky darkened more to show the thunder clouds. Soon Kakashi knew he was in over his head. He should have listened to Jiraiya and not underestimate them. As her thunder came down, it hit Naruto's fire and made it bigger and stronger, overpowering Kakashi's jutsu. As Naruto's jutsu won, it hit Kakashi as he hit a tree to be knocked out. The two then took the bells off of him. We win, sensei, they said to him, who was still out cold. Tsunade walked to them with a look of shock. Everyone was too shocked at what had transpired to speak a word till Tsunade brought them to everyone's attention. Naruto and Tenten win. After observation of their skills, these two will be granted Junin rank, she stated to the ninja and villagers. The rookie 9 were shocked that the two had come back and already had higher positions than them, except Neji, though Neji could tell in terms of skill they were far better. As the villagers left with questions still in their minds, the ninja left to go home too. The entire battle had been 3 hours long. Tsunade turned to them. Meet me in the Hokage mansion tomorrow, you two, she said as she left. I guess we gave him a run for his money, weapons girl, said the blonde, proud of what they had done. Turning to him with her smile of happiness, she replied. Yeah, but I wish we could have gone all out, we held back too much, Whisker boy, she said, happy that they won though the outcome was obvious. Should we wake up Kakashi? She asked. No, let him rest, Jiraiya will take him back, he said as they left. Koibito, we are the perfect team and couple, she said. Of course we are, Kanojo, it is because of our love that we are, he said as they returned to their house. They immediately went to sleep in each other's arms that night. Jiraiya knelt down to Kakashi. Didn't I say not to underestimate them? He said. Yeah, you did, but I did and I got my butt handed to me, Kakashi said until the chakra exhaustion claimed him. Jiraiya picked him up. He took Kakashi to the hospital. Everyone had seen glimpses of Naruto and Tenten's power, but what they saw wasn't even 1% of what they were capable of. No one, not even Jiraiya, had scratched the surface of the power they were concealing. During a late afternoon in Konoha, a young couple that had recently been promoted to Junin were walking down the street together towards the Hokage's mansion. As the blonde and brunette walked, they noticed all the intense stares people were giving them. They knew the reason for their gazes. The couple had also recently beaten one of the top Junin in Konoha, with little to no effort at all. Man, ever since this morning, we have been getting stares like these, said the weapons expert. She felt weird, that everyone would be whispering about them. Just ignore it, Ten-chan. Besides, Jiraiya told Kakashi not to underestimate us, but he did, said the blonde. Both knew it was Kakashi's fault for not taking such information seriously. Yeah, maybe we shook him up too much, she said as she and her lover got to the Hokage mansion. As they climbed up the stairs, they spotted 3 figures behind the door to the mission room. Oh, Naruto, Tenten, come in, said the Godime Hokage. She was trying to hide most of her shock from last night, still not being able to get over it. As they came in, they noticed Jiraiya standing next to Tsunade and Kakashi was in a corner depressed that he lost in front of everyone. He could feel the stares of pity and laughter at him as he strolled towards the Hokage mansion earlier. He knew it was his fault that he lost, but still couldn't believe the amount of trust and teamwork the two lovers had gained. Snapping himself out of his gaze to get ready for the meeting, he sat up. Okay, now that everyone is here, we shall begin, said Tsunade as everyone's carefree face turned into a serious one. As we all know about yesterday, you two have surpassed almost any Junin in the village, Tsunade stated. Feeling the blood rush to their heads, they tried to stay cool from the compliments. We just put our trust in each other and we watch the others back, they stated, which offered them a grin from Tsunade. I am sure you two are better than the Anbu in the village, Kakashi said, reading his Ika Ika book. Yeah, I guess if we beat a former Anbu Black Op, said Naruto, attempting to lighten the mood. Feeling more depressed, the Junin regressed back to his corner in shame as Jiraiya and Tsunade laughed. Haha, okay, but on a more serious note, she said with a look of utter seriousness. She had wanted to ask this question before, but feeling it was late enough, she didn't. She now had the opportunity to ask her question. How strong do you two think you are? She said, waiting for their reply to her question. After thinking over the sudden question, they gave their reply. We aren't sure, but we are sure we can take at least 2 Akatsuki members down each, Naruto said. Tenten nodded, reconfirming their answer. If they think that, then they are just a little below Hokage level, she thought. Forming an idea in her head as she turned to them. Then I have a proposition for you two, she said, piquing their interest along with the Toad Sage and the gloomy copy ninjas. She continued. If both of you can beat me and my clone separately, then I will let you lead your own group of Chunin, she said. Feeling a bit confused, Tenten let Naruto do the talking for them. So we are going to take 2 Chunin with us to lead on missions? He asked. Yeah, that is the point. I want to see your power against the Hokage, she said. Tsunade-sama, with all due respect, these 2 may be good, but to beat the Hokage is nearly impossible, Kakashi stated. He didn't know how strong they were, but he thought that not even they could beat her. Kakashi, I have made my decision, she said with a deadly smile. Kakashi backed up to not be on the receiving end of her anger. Thinking over the proposition, the 2 lovers were excited. They would be a permanent set and would be able to lead Chunin. The pay fabulous also. They gave their replies. I will go with what Naruto wants, I will follow my lover forever, Tenten stated as she turned to Naruto. Naruto could only blush as she made her comment. He could always feel the kindling fire of his love for her burn hotter with each day they were together. He thought some more and decided. Alright, Ba-chan, we accept your proposition on one condition, he said. With a confused look she wondered what sort of condition he could have. Even Tenten was a little confused, she didn't see what kind of condition that he wanted. Alright, what is your condition? She asked, expecting the worst. When we win, we get to pick the Chunin we take, he said to the Hokage. Chuckling at his conditions, she nodded in agreement. Oh, okay, of course you can pick, she said. She checked some documents. As everyone left, she gave her final instructions. 9 o'clock p.m. at the Chunin exam stadium. All right, she stated to everyone. Kakashi nodded and ran to tell ninja and villagers about the fight. Jiraiya left to join Kakashi. Naruto and Tenten nodded and left. As they left, Tenten grumbled a little. Man, why is this always at nighttime, she said. It is one thing you can never tell with her, Naruto said to get his lover to calm down. Thinking aloud with knowing, Tenten said what a surprise for Naruto at that time. Man, and here I bought some new sexy lingerie for Naruto-kun, she thought aloud. Naruto formed a nosebleed at the thought of what she had bought. His mind was now filled with various images that came into play of a sexy and lustful Tenten. Why tonight? Of all nights, why tonight? He screamed in his thoughts. Now I have to wait God knows how long for that view of her, he grumbled in his thoughts. As they got home, they got ready once again for another big-time fight. Thought they weren't sure if the match with Kakashi could have been considered big-time. 4 hours later, the couple noticed that it was getting dark and ran through their items for a final check. Okay, everything is in order for us, let's go, Naruto stated. Looking at her lover, Tenten nodded as they left the house. Reaching the stadium at 8:55, they saw the place crowded again with even more people than before. Their hearing was good, so they could hear the snarky comments from some people. Man, just cause they beat Kakashi, they think they can beat a Hokage, said one man. Yeah, they need to know their place, said another. Noticing the fellow ninjas losing patience with the audience, Tsunade started the fight. Okay, first Tenten, Naruto, go over there, she instructed. Naruto gave his lover a good luck kiss as he left. He left and their fight began. They held a stare down, both wanted the other to move, but nothing came. After a while, Tsunade decided to start feeling confident. Tsunade threw a kunai at Tenten, then decided to charge her. Blocking the kunai too slow, Tenten deflected it, revealing her middle section to Tsunade, who rammed her fist into Tenten, sending her flying into a wall. Tenten saw she would have to be a bit faster in order to not make mistakes. She got back to her feet and charged Tsunade. She took out a flash bomb and threw it into the air. Blinded by the light, Tsunade covered her eyes. Tenten jumped up over her. She threw 4 kunai into the ground, making a square around Tsunade. She placed her hands together and shouted. Ninja art. Square seal trap, she said. Before the seal closed, Tsunade jumped out of the way. If she got in that, I would be over for her already and she would have none of that. After a good 30 minutes exchanging blows at full power, Tsunade was getting tired and so was Tenten. They had kept going at full power all that time and were starting to slow down. Tenten and Tsunade decided to end the fight in one strike. Ninja art. Meiotic regeneration, Tsunade shouted as she got a huge burst in chakra to end the fight. Tenten decided to end this with her new technique to Naruto. Lightning Stlye, Thunder Dance, she shouted as thunder came for the sky and hit her. She focused the lightning around her body to give her a huge increase in speed and power. As Tsunade lunged, she tried to hit Tenten in one blow, but missed due to the weapon expert's extreme speed. Tsunade said her final jutsu. Earth Style. Earth Shatter, she shouted as the ground shattered around Tenten. She knew she was in trouble, but then she got an idea. With her speed, she approached Tsunade in a flash and kicked her into the air. Using the walls, she jumped into the air for a final assault. Lighting Stlye, instant light, she shouted as she hit Tsunade back and forth in the skies. The crowd didn't know what to say. Their Hokage was getting beat by those much younger than her. As Tenten finished, she punched Tsunade to the ground and appeared instantly from the sky to the ground. The lighting around her stopped as her came to see a puff of smoke. She chuckled. Okay, I won against the clone, she said to the real Hokage near Naruto. Naruto smiled as it was his turn against the real thing. Tenten went to the stands to sit. The crowd was speechless. The Hokage was supposed to be the best ninja in Konoha, yet here her clone got beat. As Naruto entered with the real Hokage, the fight began. Both went full power from the start. They disappeared from the crowd. They only sounds were from the shockwaves of air that the two made over the stadium. They continued with the full assault on each other. Both enjoying the thrill of the fight. The show ended with Naruto being blown to the wall. As he got up, he chuckled. I guess a clone is different for the real thing, he said. That's right, Naruto. Now stop holding back and fight, Tsunade said to him as she resumed the fight. After 30 minutes of swapping the positions of defense and offense, they too were also getting tired. They were well into the fight. 2 hours had passed with no clear sign of a winner. Tsunade decided to end everything. Tenten, almost tired of Naruto's playing around, gave her reply. Naruto-kun, end it or I can't do what I have planned, she said to him. The crowd didn't know what she meant, but Naruto did and decided to end it here too. Tsunade took a giant chunk of the earth and jumped into the air with it. As a way of playing, she named it into a jutsu. Earth Style. Giant Bomb Shell, she said, chuckling at the name. Naruto, wanting to hear, said the Hokage. All good things must come to an end, except me and Ten-chan, he said to her, waving hand signs. Tenten blushed at his statement. He did his jutsu. Twin Nature Style. Sever Fire Tornado, he shouted as a tornado of pure fire came out of the sky to the amazement of the crew and the Hokage. The tornado hit her only because the rock she had was already targeted and she couldn't turn it. As the fire tornado plowed her into the ground, the jutsu settled. Tsunade had been fine except for a few burns from a last-minute substitution. Okay, I give, you two win, she said, dead tired. The entire fight took over 5 hours. Meet me tomorrow for your choice of members, she said to them. They nodded, then picked her up. After the congrats to them, the villagers left, still awestruck as well as the ninja. As everyone left, Naruto and Tenten raced home to take care of a sudden urge Tenten had watching Naruto. They would be even more tired in the morning. Jiraiya sat next to Tsunade on the ground. He sat in silence, then she spoke. I know my candidate for Hokage, she said to the Toad Sage. He chuckled at her. You have my full support, he said to her as they two left. Tomorrow would be a very interesting day for the two lovers, who were still too loud in their room. It was very late in the night, the moon was in full bloom over the village of Konoha. Racing home on the urge that certain brunette was having towards her blonde lover, they couple took to the rooftops to get home faster. As they ran, they remembered the events that had transpired over a few minutes ago. They had beaten the leader of Konoha, the Hokage. Reveling in their victory, the couple happily smiled at each other as they got home. From there, hurrying, it took them 35 minutes to get home. Finally, we made it, said the blonde. He reached for his keys, but was shocked to see his lover turn him around to kiss him with a hot intensity. She just couldn't wait anymore to be with him. She had to have him now. Ten-chan, I need to open the door, he said to her. She pouted a little as he took out his keys and opened the door. As he instantly opened the door, Tenten pounced on him as they hit the floor. She continued to kiss him, causing him to lose control of his senses. After seeing her lover fight the way he did with the Hokage, she couldn't help but get turned on by him. His agile body and glorious muscles. In addition to that, his sweat from the match had glistened down his body. She was becoming intoxicated by his smell as she kissed him with all her strength. He was about to give in to her, but then he realized that he didn't lock the door, separating her from him. He explained why he did. I know, I'll hurry, let me close the door, he said as he locked it. She was getting impatient as he performed some handsings and activated some soundproof seals. After he realized he was done, she grabbed him and dragged him to the bedroom. Now there is nothing that needs taking care of, is there? She asked seductively. Naruto stuttered to answer her because of the lustfulness she was showing him. No, there isn't, Kanojo, now let me, he said, being interrupted by her with an finger to his lips. She got up and did a strip tease for him, revealing her new lingerie to him. She had worn a dark red pair that seemed to nearly cause him to faint. Sorry, Koibito, but this time you will be the one to experience pleasure, she said to him. He didn't have the voice to argue with her. During their little sessions, he would be the one giving pleasure. She had prepared this night for him to experience her. As she took off his clothes, leaving him, she knelt down to see him excited in a certain spot between his legs. It seems you like what you see, Koibito, she said to him. Before Naruto could respond, she licked his hardness, causing him to moan. She felt happy that he was feeling the pleasure she was giving, but still had much in store for him. She then put her mouth around his big member. He could feel the soft and wetness of her mouth as she sucked him off. He had never had such an experience before. As her mouth moved up and down over him, he could only continue to moan at the intense feeling of pleasure. Hee, feeling good, Koibito, she said to him. Kanojo, stop the teasing, I need you now, he said to her. She stopped sucking to reply to him. Sorry, no can do, Koibito, this is your pleasure session, she said as she resumed her technique. He didn't have any room or breath to complain to her. It felt too good in her throat to say anything. As she sucked him faster, she could feel him getting harder and hotter. She knew what was coming. She looked up at him and gave a pleasant smile. Come on, Koibito, I need your milk, I'm thirsty, he said seductively. That last comment sent him over the edge as he released all that he had in her mouth. She had swallowed the whole thing and gave her reply. Thank you for the meal, Koibito, she said to him. Him not being able to resist her anymore, he grabbed her and pinned her to the bed. Kanojo, I can't take it, I really want you now, he said with a look of eagerness. Knowing she couldn't resist him, she gave in to his strong embrace and replied. All right, Koibito, I have teased enough, love me right now, she said, taking off the rest of her undergarments. Now completely, she opened her legs for him. He nodded as he put his thick tool into her soft spot. She moaned loud from the passion of the moment. She wasn't sure if it was from being turned on earlier from his match or just from her love for him, but she couldn't keep her mind straight nor her mouth quiet as the pleasure raced through her body. As he increased his speed, she increased her noise. Hearing her moan, Naruto was glad he placed those seals before they started. After an hour of lovemaking, they were both sweating on the bed. Tenten turned to Naruto. Come on, Koibito, What happened to that amazing stamina of yours? She asked, a little disappointed. He knew he was dead tired for the match and her libido wasn't helping, but he was notorious for his stamina for a reason. He wasn't going to lose until she was completely satisfied. Come on, Kanojo, you know I can go much more than that, he said as he started again. I am glad you can, 'cause I really need it, she admitted to him. As they began again, they ended in each other's arms that night. They had spent 2 hours in their love session. In truth, they could have gone longer, but needed to conserve some stamina for tomorrow. As they went to sleep, the both had pleasant dreams about the other. 9 o'clock in the morning. Naruto and Tenten were already awake to go to the Hokage mansion to see Tsunade. As they washed up and put on their clothes to go out, they gave a smiling grin at each other as they ran out the door. As they appeared on the streets of Konoha, they could feel the sharp gazes of amazement on them from the villagers. They knew the reasons for the stares, given their new exploit in a certain match. Man, I can't believe that they are all staring at us over a simple match, he whispered to her. Yeah, it's like they have never seen a Hokage lose before, she said to him, giggling. As they neared towards the Hokage mansion, the steely gazes of people were still on them as they went upstairs to see Tsunade. Quietly knocking, they waited for a reply. Come in, said the fifth Hokage. As Naruto and Tenten came inside, they saw the Hokage working as usual. Oh, Naruto and Tenten, to what do I owe the pleasure? She said with a smile that meant certain death. They backed up from the killing intent that surrounded the Godime. Ba-chan, are you okay? He said, still a bit frightened at her. Yeah, I am okay, though I got beat by kids, she said to them with a vein popping out at them. We are sorry, but you said not to hold back on you, they stated to her. She couldn't argue that. She certainly did say that. Deciding to let the pent-up anger go, she came under control. Okay, about our deal, which Chunin would you like on your permanent team? She asked at them. She gave them a list of all the Chunin in the Leaf Village. Really? They only looked through the rookie 9, as they knew them best. Once again the decision was left to Naruto, but then Naruto turned to Tenten. You know what, Ten-chan, you picked this time, I trust your judgment completely, he smiled as he gave her the list. She was shocked to be doing the decision-making this time. She smiled at Naruto to give her reply. Okay, Naruto-kun, but after I pick you are the permanent leader, I don't really like to lead much, she said. Naruto nodded but answered to her. Okay, but because I can trust you the most, you are the co-leader, okay Ten-chan. He said to her. She nodded, give her answer as she scanned the list. After 20 minutes considering the missions they will take in the members' profiles. She gave the names. Well, we totally need a medic just in case, so I pick Sakura for her skill, Tenten said. Realizing why she made that choice, Tsunade nodded. Naruto was surprised she chose Sakura, but he understood why. As she scanned the list one more time, she came across the perfect person for their little group. Okay, and the last person I pick is Shikamaru Nara for our group, she said to the Hokage. Naruto wondered why Shika, but then knew why. With Shikamaru's IQ they would be able to be more sufficient at their missions. Nodding at their choices, Tsunade ordered for the two from the list to appear. After 30 minutes of waiting, both ninja came through the door. We are her, Tsunade-sama, what can we do? Sakura asked, noticing Naruto and Tenten in the room. She wondered why they were here, but wondered even more why they were alive after beating Tsunade, but put off the question for a bit. Is there a reason we were summoned so early? Shikamaru asked after a big yawn. Man, what time isn't early for you? Naruto asked. Shikamaru chuckled at the question. No time is too early for a nap, he said to Naruto. After ordering silence, Tsunade faced the two Chunin. You guys will be a part of a permanent team with these two, she said to them. They both had confused looks on their faces as she continued. You will be going on higher missions with them, because they personally requested for you guys, she stated. But why? Sigh, what a drag, they stated to Tsunade. She told them about the bet the three made. Shocked though not being able to do anything about it, they surrendered to the agreement. Okay, so who is the leader? Me, Shika, or Tenten? Sakura asked. Feeling depressed that he wasn't mentioned, Naruto had his head down, which earned him a pat on his back from Tenten. Neither of you three. Naruto will be the permanent team leader, Tsunade announced. Sakura could have fainted from the announcement. Shikamaru didn't really care. He knew Naruto's potential from their Shugi match 2 years ago and didn't complain. But Tsunade-sama, he is a big idiot, why is he leading? She asked, oblivious to the growing depression around him. Tenten was feeling a little angry at Sakura for the constant insults at her lover. She wondered if she made a mistake in the person she chose. Sakura continued to hurl insult about him at Tsunade, who looked at Tenten, who was about to cut the pink-haired Kunoichi in two. And on top of that she said, being interrupted by a kunai to the throat. She turned to see a more than pissed-off brunette. She forgot that the person she was talking about was this woman's love. You finish that sentence, Sakura, and not even Tsunade-sama will be able to fix you, she said to the scared Kunoichi, who decided to keep her mouth shut. Good girl. Now Naruto is our permanent leader, deal with it, she said, putting the kunai away. Sakura nodded with a fast approval. Why yeah, Naruto is the leader, I will gladly follow him, hehe, she said in nervous laughter. Shikamaru could only roll his eyes. This is why people are troublesome, he said to himself. Feeling her patience leaving, Tsunade decided to end the meeting. Okay. You have your first mission in a week, good luck to everyone, she said as she dismissed them. The group walked out of the room. That could have gone better, Naruto said to them. They all nodded, but didn't complain. As they thought, Shikamaru and Sakura decided to trust in Naruto to see if he did have leadership qualities. Tenten trusted him already, so she didn't have to second-guess herself. Everyone went their separate ways, with Shikamaru going to take a nap, Sakura going to buy some flowers, and Naruto and Tenten going back home to get more sleep. Their team has been made and they will begin their missions as a group. After a good week of doing separate missions, the team of 4 had become an official team. The blonde was the leader, the brunette was the co-leader, the pink Kunoichi was the medic, and the lazy genius was the advisor to the leader. Everyone had arrived at the Hokage mansion after being summoned by Lady Tsunade. Well, I wonder our Hokage could want, said the brunette wrapped around her lover's arms. He looked at her, then the street. He had wondered about that also. I don't know, but let's hurry to find out, he said to her. She nodded and they ran off to get to the building. After 35 minutes they made it to the meeting room where Sakura and Shikamaru were waiting. Good morning everyone, Naruto said with his trademark grin. Hey Naruto, do you know why we were summoned? Said the lazy genius to their leader. No, sorry Shika, even I don't know, Naruto answered as he shrugged his shoulders. After 15 minutes of waiting for their Hokage, Tsunade came through the door. Everyone is here, let me get straight to the point, Tsunade said as she sat in her chair. She held out a piece of paper that contained mission details. This is your first mission as a permanent group, she exclaimed to them. They all read over the course of the mission. Their mission was an infiltration mission into Wind Country and still some blueprints that could prove dangerous to Konoha. I want you to do this mission for us, you leave at 2 o'clock p.m., she said to the 4. As everyone nodded, she dismissed them, wishing them good luck. As everyone went their separate was to pack for their mission. They had 4 hours before their mission. So what shall we do until the mission? Naruto asked, staring at his lover. With a twinkle in her eye she turned to him. Let's go home and find out, she said, walking in the direction of their house. Naruto nearly fell to the ground at the suggestion. Shouldn't we conserve our stamina for the mission? He said to her. She turned around and smiled. You have nearly an infinite supply of stamina, and I have 3 hours to recover stamina, we will be okay, she said as she turned around. Naruto, not wanting to waste any time, ran to her and picked her up and ran home. After the 4 hours had passed, everyone gathered at the entrance. Shikamaru noticed Tenten was a little sluggish. Something wrong, Tenten? You are moving a little slow, he asked with a hint of concern. Tenten turned to Naruto, who could only smile. She turned back to Shikamaru. I was having a little workout time, she said as she ran to the gate. Naruto smiled as he knew she was blushing from the response she had given. Realizing the time, Naruto motioned his team. Okay everyone, this is our first mission, let us work effectively and get the job done, he said to them. Everyone gave their acceptance of the statement as Sakura asked a question. But Naruto, what about? She asked as she was interrupted by Naruto. We will travel in a diamond formation, Naruto stated to the group. Sakura was shocked to see Naruto answered her question without thinking about it. She had wondered about the formation they would use, if he had one. Knowing now that he did, Sakura kept her mouth closed as Naruto continued. I will be in the front, Tenten and Shikamaru will be diagonally across from me and Sakura will be at the back, he commanded. He knew through training that the medic ninja was the backbone of the group, she was their important asset. He stationed her at the back for the most protection. Everyone agreed as they left in the formation designated by Naruto. After 3 hours traveling, Naruto noticed that the wind was off, in a sense. He could feel that something was wrong. He turned to the back to his group. As I suspected, he said as he noticed that his followers were feeling off, also. Rather being safe than sorry, Naruto turned his head forward but replied to his group. Everyone, stay sharp, there is trouble in the air, he said to them. They tightened their formation under Naruto's orders. As he suspected, 10 rogue ninja came from behind the trees to surround the group of 4. Leave all your possession, the rogue leader said as he eyed the girls. And women and get lost, he said with a wicked smile. Naruto's group could only laugh at the man and his friends. Obviously the man didn't know what they were capable of. I'll tell you what, sir, I will not take that choice, and you will get lost before that face gets rearranged, Tenten shouted. Naruto could only smile at the sheer aggressiveness she was showing. I would take that offer, it's better than the latter guys, Naruto said to them. Pissed, the man charged at them. You won't be acting tough when you're dead, he shouted at them. He rushed at Naruto to end up seeing the sky, realizing he had been countered without his notice. His head hit the ground as he came crashing down. Tenten went forward and charged at the other 9. Ending the fight easily, she returned to the group. Not bad for a workout, she said to her team. Naruto motioned for them to proceed. After 10 more hours, the group made it to the complex that they were designated to. Alright, let's go. Sakura and Shikamaru, you come with me, Tenten you stay here, he told the group. Though she felt a bit disappointed, she knew why he said for her to stay. He trusted her the most to get them out if they got captured. She nodded as the 3 went inside. 3 ninja guarded the lookout tower. The 3 hid behind a wall. Naruto motioned to Shikamaru. Shikamaru used his shadow possession jutsu. As the shadow crept up the wall, it headed for the guard. The guard was unsuspectingly caught by Shikamaru. As the shadow crept up the man, it crushed his throat as he fell to the ground dead. Naruto motioned the move. He ordered Shikamaru to follow a different route but keep to the shadows and not make any unneeded moves. Shikamaru nodded as he left. Naruto was acting like a true leader. He was thinking and anticipating for the mission. He had surprised Sakura and Shikamaru, but mostly Sakura. I wonder how much you have changed, she thought as she followed Naruto. They entered the tower, causing as little a ruckus as possible. As they entered the room with the scroll, Naruto motioned for Sakura to stay back. He went for the scroll only to see it was a DC as a steel cage came down on him. He turned to see a fat man in his chair eating his food as the guards of the tower surrounded Naruto. You didn't really think you could sneak in here and leave alive, did you? He smiled, looking at the trapped blonde. Well, yeah, I thought I could. Well, missions don't go as well as one plans, Naruto said as he sat down in his cage. He turned to the corner where he left Sakura as she watched Naruto get captured. Man, you are such an idiot, Naruto, why would you? She stopped as she saw Naruto's hand. His thumb pointed down and punched his fist into his palm. Sakura, understanding the message, seeing she understood, he looked back at the fat man. So where is the scroll, huh? Naruto asked with a smile. The man laughed at him and seeing as how the leaf ninja couldn't get away, he replied. Ha 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 ha, there never was a scroll, our country just used that little ruse to rile you, leaf ninja, and look where you are now. He smiled as he took another bite of food. Oh man, that means that I came here for nothing, Naruto said with a fake expression of depression. Not knowing he was faking, the man smiled. Not to worry, boy, you will be free from the world soon, he laughed at his captive. To get some amusement, he had the guards torture Naruto. Naruto knew that the people couldn't really hurt him, but to buy his comrades time he played along. He went through 45 minutes of brutal or not brutal, depending on him, of torture. He was still faking but begged the man, seeing as how he thought that it was time. Please, one jutsu to the heavens, allow me to let my mother know I am coming to her, Naruto begged with a smile hidden beneath his jacket. Laughing at the pathetic state, the man motioned for the guards to stop as Naruto formed a Kaden no Jutsu. Fire style. Grand fireball, he shouted as a giant ball of fire went towards the skies and disappeared. Thank you, I am done, he said to the man. Then you shall die, he said to the blowhand as the guard were going to deliver the final blow. Suddenly the tower began to shake, it was trembling violently, causing everyone to miss Naruto and the fat man to fall from his chair. Naruto could only smile as everyone was trying to get up. WWW, what is happening here? He shouted at the guards. Naruto motioned to him. Hey fatso, what is happening? His our job, said Naruto as he disappeared in a puff of smoke. A shadow clone, he tricked me, said the man as he fell to the ground some more. Naruto ran through the building laughing. He knew why the tower was shaking. He recalled the thumbs down and punch to the palm he gave Sakura. As expected of one who has trained under Ba-chan, he said. Sakura was at the bottom of the building breaking all the support beams to the tower. She used her monstrous strength to finish the blow and send the tower to the ground. Naruto walked out and so did Sakura with their happy expressions. You're lucky I saw that Saigon L, leader, Sakura said with a bit of sarcasm. Come on, you know me, Sakura, I am unpredictable, he said as she laughed. Man, you guys really know how to cause a disturbance, Shikamaru said to them with a hand rubbing his head. As they shrugged their shoulders as they walked away. Out of nowhere the fat man appeared out of the rubble. You think you will get away with this? H shouted as they turned around. Naruto motioned Sakura to stay back. He knew that due to the man's gluttonous structure, her punches would be absorbed by the fat. He signaled Shikamaru. Shikamaru did his shadow possession and held the fat man in place. So what do we do with him? I can't hold people for very long, Shikamaru asked Naruto as he pondered. He formed an idea from the fireball he sent to the air. He thought that his lover had not fought enough. He made an obvious signal to the weapons girl that only they knew so he could get to the field. She saw the signal and ran towards her lover. She stopped to see a jumbo man held in place by Shikamaru. Naruto made her look into the sky. She smiled as she had seen the fireball he placed into the sky. He didn't forget to give her some time for her new jutsu, and with the man standing still, he was the perfect target. Thank you, Naruto-kun, she said as she kissed him on the cheeks. Let's keep it professional here, people, Shikamaru stated to them. She nodded and performed the necessary hand signs. From Naruto's jutsu, the sky had become humid and made thunderclouds for Tenten to use. She used an electrical current on her hand as she lifted it towards the sky. End it quick, Ten-chan, we have to go, Naruto stated to her. She nodded that she understood. Lightning style. Infinite thunder dragons, she shouted as everyone back away from the field. An infinite number of thunder dragons all hit the man in an instant. He screamed from the pain until the lightning struck his heart and he rolled over dead. Near him was a paper. Naruto picked it up to see that it was blueprints for new jutsu that could really be the downfall of Konoha even with Naruto and Tenten there. Naruto felt it was a lucky break. He hid the paper in his sleeve and they all went to the nearest town to go to sleep. Everyone had a long day. Naruto's plan had worked to perfection, there were no flaws anywhere. Sakura was utterly impressed by Naruto's use of tactics. Shikamaru now officially accepted Naruto as the leader. He trusted Naruto as a friend, but he didn't think he could be a good leader. Boy, was he wrong. Tenten already trusted her lover with everything, so she knew he could do anything. Sakura and Shikamaru stopped, causing Naruto and Tenten to turn around. Naruto, after today I see you in a whole new light. I am honored to have you as my leader, Shikamaru said as he bowed to Naruto. Naruto, you have shown me your quick thinking and analytical skills. I am honored to follow you, Sakura said as she bowed. Naruto blushed from the attention. In addition to Tenten, he now had the trust of Shikamaru and Sakura. Naruto motioned to his team. Well, thanks you guys. As a way of congrats on our mission, I will pay for everyone's dinner tonight, he said. Everyone smiled at him. They didn't turn down his offer as they walked back to the nearest town. Naruto now has the respect and trust of the village's #1 genius and third best medical ninja. His skills as the leader were excellent. He acted more like an adult and he had his team and all their trust right behind him. After their mission in Wind Country, Team Uzumaki went to a nearby town to celebrate their first successful mission together. Naruto had offered to treat everyone to dinner. Everyone didn't object to his offer as they went into a restaurant. Sakura sat down next to Tenten and Shikamaru sat next to Naruto. Everyone had placed their orders and their separate drinks arrived. Naruto stood up holding his glass one hand. Everyone, our first mission was a success, may we have many more in the future, cheers, he shouted. Smiling at his celebratory cheer, everyone gave their cheers as they sat down. Their individual foods had arrived to be served. Tenten ordered some miso soup with Chinese-style buns. Sakura ordered takoyaki balls with some noodles. Shikamaru ordered some mackerel cooked with miso soup and some sukanbu vinegar-flavored kelp. Naruto decided this was everyone's celebration, so he didn't eat anything. Seeing that late fat man eat his food made the team leader lose his appetite. These buns are fantastic, though not as good as Naruto-kun's, Tenten said as she put another in her mouth. Man, it's got to be takoyaki after a mission like that, Sakura said, adding soy sauce to her food. She had a passion for these balls, but she didn't like to express it. This sukanbu is excellent, Shikamaru said as he looked to his left to see Naruto not eating. It wasn't like Naruto to not eat on special occasions like this. What's the matter, Naruto? You're not eating, Shikamaru said. Naruto didn't hear Shikamaru. He was in too much thought to hear him. He had a question that he needed to ask, but felt too nervous to ever bring it up. Noticing Naruto didn't respond, Shikamaru yelled a bit louder to him, causing Sakura and Tenten to look up from their meals. Huh? What is it, Shikamaru? Naruto asked, snapping out of his daze. Everyone faced Naruto with looks of concern. Shikamaru started to ask questions. Why aren't you eating? Is something on your mind? He asked, worried about his new leader. Naruto looking around at his teammates. He realized he concerned them. He smiled, though behind the smile was a lot of thinking. Yeah, I am fine, Shikamaru, I just need to think. Excuse me, he said as he got up and left. Everyone looked shocked and worried about their new leader. Turning to Tenten, who was more concerned than the other two, Sakura and Shikamaru questioned her. Do you know anything, Tenten? They asked as she looked out the window. No, he was fine a few hours ago, I don't know what's wrong with him, she said, wondering if it was something she did. Shikamaru got up from his table to go talk to Naruto. Be right back with him, you two, he said as he left. Sakura and Tenten continued their meal, though felt a bit sad with the mood the way it was. Shikamaru walked out to see Naruto on top of a hill. He walked towards Naruto, who was gathering his thoughts. You know Naruto, I am your advisor, so if there is something let me know, Shikamaru said to him. Naruto leaned back onto the ground. He couldn't argue the point that Shikamaru was making, he decided to let Shikamaru in on his thoughts. Hehe, you sure can get into people's heads, Naruto said as he turned to Shikamaru. He put his hand into his pocket and threw a 20k diamond ring at Shikamaru. Shikamaru grabbed it and looked at its beauty. After examining the rock, he turned to Naruto. Why do you have this, Naruto? He asked clueless. Naruto was a little surprised. Wow, even you as a genius can't figure this out, he smiled. Shikamaru pondered the ring more. After 2 minutes of thinking he came to the conclusion. No way, are you serious, Naruto? He asked with a lot of excitement in his voice. Seeing that Shika had cracked the mystery. That's right, Shika, I am serious, I just haven't asked her yet, Naruto smiled. Shikamaru was amazed that Naruto was considering something life-changing. Why the hell not, man? You have to ask her, otherwise it will turn into a drag, he said, settling down. I know, but the way to go about it is difficult, Naruto said. He turned to Shikamaru and grabbed the ring. Please, Shika, don't tell those two about this conversation, he pleaded. Shikamaru nodded as they both got up to go back. Suddenly a giant explosion came from the restaurant. Naruto and Shikamaru ran towards the burning building. He went inside and pulled out Sakura. He went back inside to find Tenten, but she was nowhere to be found. He left the building to see a lighting shinobi onto of a house holding a fainted Tenten. He looked at the group of leaf ninja. We will trade this girl for the blueprints you stole, said the ninja as he ran off, leaving an injured Sakura, confused Shikamaru, and furious Naruto behind. As Sakura woke up, she treated her wounds. She noticed Naruto with a look of pure terror. Naruto grumbled to himself. How dare you take her? You are not getting away with this, he said as he turned back to his three-man group. Sakura and Shikamaru saw the look of seriousness that Naruto had. Without using words, he gave his commands that they both understood. They raced after the ninja. 2 o'clock in the morning. Tenten woke up to find that she was in chains and bound to a wall. She surveyed her surroundings as she looked up to see a man in front of her. Hehe, you sure are cute, my little captive, he said close to her. Tenten looked away, noticing he was too close to her. She remembered teachings in the academy about being captured by enemy ninja. She heard that kunoichi were sometimes raped by their enemies and became their victims. She struggled to get out of the chains, but to no avail. The man continued to torment her. Hehe, you're a feisty one, let me have a taste, he said as he leaned in and pressed his lips against hers. She cried at the thought of someone else other than Naruto on her body. When the man stuck his tongue inside her mouth, she hit her mouth on top of his tongue, causing her teeth to strike his tongue. Ouch, you little bitch, he said as he slapped her. No one I coming to save you, you will rot here or be my bitch, he said as he left. She knew he was wrong. She knew her lover was coming to save her. She was gonna tell Naruto what had happened to her. She sat in the dark thinking of a way to escape, but stopped and left it to her lover. She waited patiently. Near the mystery man's base in the earth, Naruto was trying to suppress the marks of the 9 tails that were coming over him. He couldn't believe he allowed his company leader and lover to get kidnapped. He halted for Shikamaru and Sakura to stop. Why aren't we moving, Naruto? We have to save Tenten, Sakura shouted at Naruto, who tried to keep his cool. Naruto wanted to save Tenten, but as the leader he couldn't be stupid either. I know we do, but I want me and Shika to go, Sakura, you stay near the entrance. Naruto had the scroll in his hand as he and Shikamaru entered the cave. Sakura waited patiently. As they went further into the cave, they noticed signs of a secret underground hideout. Man, are these guys planning a coup d'etat? Shikamaru wondered. Probably that is why they need this scroll, Naruto mentioned to Shikamaru. As they moved further, they came to the man who had an army of ninja backing him up. He had Tenten in his hand and Naruto had the scroll. Toss me the scroll, the man ordered. You give us back our comrade, Naruto said in a very angry manner. The man pointed a kunai at Tenten's throat. You want this girl to die, the man said in a rage. Not willing to risk the safety of Tenten, Naruto threw the scroll to the man. Now give me Tenten, Naruto ordered. Ha 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 ha, for a ninja leader, you are so gullible. I am keeping this girl, she will be worth a hefty sum, he said as his ninjas faced the two. The man wailed off with Tenten and the scroll. Shikamaru nodded at Naruto. Go get Tenten, I can handle this, Shikamaru stated. Naruto nodded and disappeared in smoke. The scroll the man carried vanished and was replaced with the blonde leader. I said, give me Ten, shouted as he tackled the man. Naruto cut the chain off Tenten as she ran towards him. Naruto got to her and hugged her tightly. Don't worry, I won't do anything to you, he said as he unleashed 500 clones on the ninja. Seeing he was surrounded, the ninja fought his hardest, but became overwhelmed by the number of clones. Ah! He shouted as he got pummeled into the ground. As Naruto walked towards Shikamaru, who laid out every ninja with his shadow, they were all prepared to walk out. Then the ninja got up and charged at Naruto, hitting him in the back. Tenten knelt down to an injured Naruto. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? She asked. He was okay, but still angry over the whole incident that was going on. Tenten turned to Naruto to give his anger a little push. Thank you for saving me, Naruto. He was about to rape me, he forcefully kissed me too, she said to him. Naruto was now over the edge angry. He walked towards the man and made a Rasengan in his hand. His hair covered his eyes that would have showed a very bitter Naruto. The man backed up in fear. He had never been so terrified in his life. You dare touch her, Naruto shouted as he slammed the Rasengan into the man, sending him flying off into the nearby wall. As they exited the cave, Naruto turned around. He did some hand signs towards the entrance of the cave. Fire style. Hell's wrath, he shouted as the entire base was covered in hellish fire. The group left back on the road to Konoha. Naruto didn't care about a formation at the moment, neither did his followers. Naruto just couldn't let go of Tenten. He turned back to Shikamaru, who gave him a nod as he stopped the group. He turned to Tenten and looked her right in her eyes. She could only wonder what he wanted to say. Sakura looked at Shikamaru, who could only smile. He knew what Naruto was going to do. Ten-chan, you know I love you more than anything, I will always protect you, he said, trying to be serious. Of course, Naruto-kun, I love you with everything I have, I am yours forever, she said. He could only smile. He looked at both Sakura, then Shikamaru. Sakura was confused, while Shikamaru was still smiling. Naruto knelt down on one knee like the last time. He looked at Tenten. Tenten was about to form tears in her eyes. Sakura had a face of pure shock. Naruto said the words that would change their lives and their group. Ten-chan, I will protect and love you forever, will you marry me? He asked. Tears fell down Tenten's face as she put her hands to her lips. She was so surprised at the proposal Naruto had made. Sakura was crying too. Shikamaru was happy that Naruto had proposed. Tenten looked at him and gave her reply. Why yes, of course I will, Naruto-kun, I love you, I want to be with you forever, I want to be your wife, she said, still crying. Naruto, smiling, stood up and grabbed Tenten's hand. He placed the diamond ring on her finger. She was crying over his proposal. She was now engaged to Naruto. Sakura jumped for joy and ran to the couple. All right, Tenten, you are getting married, she said, excited over the event. Tenten smiled as she kissed Naruto in front of her teammates. Shikamaru sighed as he walked towards his group. Well, Naruto, all that thinking has turned into this, he said. Tenten looked at Naruto. Is that what you were thinking about at the restaurant? She asked. That's right, I was thinking of the ways to propose to you, he said to her. They had to cut the memory short, because they were still on a mission. They couldn't wait to tell everyone the news. Everyone walked back to Konoha in high spirits. The new news would ring around Konoha tomorrow. Tenten didn't let go of Naruto the entire way back to the village. Sakura couldn't wait to spread the news. Shikamaru rubbed his head. Tomorrow is gonna be so troublesome, he thought as they all walked back to Konoha. Tomorrow is gonna be hectic. People will crowd the new couple like never before. Their future now shined much brighter. This future was gonna be pleasant.